Hi guys, welcome back. Part 4 Aero Commander Flaps mod. Where we left off, we were just waffling on our position of this servo, which ultimately we came to the conclusion, and when I say we, I mean I came to the conclusion that I need to put it probably up here near the CG. I can't put it down here because we get too low, I think. It would be kind of nice if I could, but I'm just not 100% sure I can fit it. But that being said, I've decided though, just before we shut down the video, that I need to basically make this assembly. I want this assembly to be one piece. Now, that being understood, this servo is going to have a longer guide rod. Or not a guide rod necessarily, but a push rod that's going to come back and move both of the flaps. By the way, I got some video references. By the way, I was talking about Bob Hoover earlier today, and I always forget Bob Hoover. I don't know why. So here's a picture that showed the deployment, and you can see the angles. If you were curious how many degrees that was, let's just get out this little gauge. Looks like we're about 52 degrees at full deployment. Now that could be just relaxed because the hydraulic pressure might be off. But let's just call it, 50 or so degrees. Mine are probably going to be more extreme if I can make it that way. So just so you know, it's going to be awesome. And when I say extreme, I mean awesome. I don't mean a different angle. So basically, I have to decide if I want my controls to have to reach through all this mess, or if I want to mount my controls here where I could potentially be dealing with clearance issues. And that's really the problem, is that this servo is up high, and so as I spin this thing around 180 degrees, this would be the direction it would have to go. So we got the Aero drawn, and then I run into the issue of the CG. So even if I can put it closer to the CG, that will help. So anyway, it is what it is for the moment. I think I'm just going to get this thing built because I'm sick of waffling. And you guys know me, I'll do that for hours. Not that waffles aren't delicious. Okay, so as you know, the orange wires are signal wire, so we don't need to worry about that just quite yet. Right now we're just tapping power. We're actually getting power for two different functions right now. We're going to get power for the servo itself, and then we're going to get power. We're going to continue on and get power for the receiver through the same exact spot, because that stuff's parallel anyway, so it doesn't matter where you get it from. Okay, so this is a little bit tricky because we have to go through the top and bottom layer of this receiver. Now, you wouldn't have to necessarily... I got solder on that pin, guys. I just wanted to show you that. I'm going to actually knock that off. It's not wanting to come off. It's really bonded on there. Okay, so if you do get solder on a pin like that you need to be clean, just do me a favor and actually get it off of there. So it'll make it really hard to get your connector on. Okay, so as of yet, I've got solder in the hole now. So now I have to try to push this thing through. So we need this to be fairly compact, the two wires, okay? I'm going to try desperately to get this thing to focus. Okay. That thing is really hot right now. And I'm taking one for the team by holding it. Now, one real quick detail is that I could probably add some more solder to that because it's kind of dry right now. And you don't want a dry solder joint because then as this thing wiggles, it's going to potentially create a compromising position, especially since it's getting power here too. Now we're got a nice tinned connection point. Now, I'm going to let that cool for just a second. I know I'm wiggling around a lot, guys. Sorry about that. I got you super zoomed right now. Oh yeah, that thing's in there. It's good. And there's a little bit extra solder on the inside here, which means if there were pressure, it wouldn't yank out super easy. I mean, you could probably do it if you're really motivated. But you could do a lot of stupid things if you're motivated. Okay, so I'm squishing this back. This is going to be our ground for us. And so I do need to be a little bit critical about the way I do this. I'm actually a little bit tempted to just jump down a couple of pins because I don't gain anything by going right next to it. Oh man, that's a tough call, guys. I just don't want to have a short, especially not there because that takes the plane down, guys. Well, it'd probably just melt it would just burn the wire, to be honest, is what it would do. But it would shut off the receiver and cause a brownout, more than likely. Might damage the battery. Dead shorts are always bad, which doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. So if we go to the second one in, these things are parallel, so it's just such a crapshoot here. I'm going to see how close I get them when I'm done. These are not header pins, guys. They're wire. Wire takes up a little bit more room. That is really hot. Holy crappers. Okay, so now I'm going to come out of this zoom in look here in just a second, guys, so bear with me. Alright guys, I don't know if the zooming is helping. It's really making it hard on me, I can tell you that. So I'm going to zoom out. Okay, so this time I tinned the ends. In fact, hold on. Okay, so I tinned the end of this wire. So my hope is I can somehow get this in there. And once I get it started, I think it's going to be fairly easy to finish the project, this portion of it. Momentary pain and suffering. As usual, my camera is focusing on the squirrel running in the background. Like, hey, you must have wanted to see that squirrel back there. Well, no, I didn't. I wanted to see the thing that's 2 inches in front that's in the center of the camera picture. Oh yeah, good point. Which reminds me, guys, when I was filming for the L39, do you guys remember when my wife was viciously attacked by the deer? I don't know if you saw that, but it was really weird. And by the way, the L39 is dead. I had a problem. I don't know what it is yet. And I landed it on a roof. And Horizon comped me for the plane, which is pretty awesome of them. So, thank you, Horizon. Now, send me some planes to review, would you please? Of course, they're not doing that. That'd be pretty sweet if they did. Okay, I'm having a heck of a time getting that wire pushed through. It's wanting to collapse on itself. Luckily, I'm very hard-headed, so this is going to eventually work, because I'm going to make it work. And then probably what I'll do is I'll just put a little drip of glue or something over it. All right, I gotta try something different, guys. This is getting a little frustrating for me. I think I might need to squish these together. I didn't tin the first set, and I did tin the second set. And as you can see, tinning these small wires was not a good idea probably in this case. I might try to just desolder this one spot. I don't know if I'm going to get so lucky though. There's so many different things you can do to make this easier, but yet every single one of them is going to include adding a lot of weight. So thank you, camera. Well, I don't think I'm going to have a dead short there. I would like to have better penetration of the wires. So I'm going to keep at this for a second here. I know it's not so exciting, but sometimes I come up with epiphanies. Epiphanies. Am I saying that right? When I'm doing this crap. You know, it doesn't look pretty, but it does feel pretty solid. So, at this point, I'm thinking that it's probably where it needs to be. No, it just simply isn't. It really, guys, it isn't. I'm going to undo it. I'm going to undo it. This looks like crap right here. Alright, I got to try this just a little bit different here. I could just strip two wires and try to force them through there together. It's not going to matter. It's all getting connected. There's something about having the wires not ever detached that tells you there's no way it could have a problem. Where did it go, guys? How is it that these wires always fall into the weirdest places? Oh, I'm still literally holding it. Okay, so I cut that little bit off. I'm going to strip this. And I got them both together now, so that they're both just like so. Hold on. Try to get you guys pointed up just a little bit more so you can see better. So I'm not going to tin these this time. I'm just going to twist them together so that they're narrow. Okay. And then I'm going to hit that hole with desoldering wick. Hopefully it's going to clean the hole. Then we're going to feed that through. I'm going to autofocus you guys for a second here as I do this other task. I just don't want to accidentally desolder the other good spot. Okay, I desoldered it. Yes, yes, you can see through it, guys. That is good news. Good news. Now I'm going to slide that through. Now it should be really easy to solder this. Bring this thing right up into view. Hypothetically, it's going to be super easy now that I've talked about it a bunch. I'm probably jinxed myself. Jeez, how much solder is it going to take? Goodness gracious. So, I am going to slip this through, and I'm going to get it soldered finally. Getting a little bit more solder on the tip, and a little bit more solder onto the solder joint. Now, hypothetically, I'm going to lift this up so you guys can see good. So as you can see, we have decent bond. So we have good mechanical strength. Now, I just need to trim off the excess. Okay? Just like that. Simple as that. Super easy, guys. Just go do that. Okay, so now, one more question mark becomes, okay, Brian, you wanted to save that last pin, but it's just making less sense now. The reason you wanted to do it was so that you could, okay, now we've got our Aero on here. Okay, there's the Aero. Commander, get it? Oh, pun intended. So that was so that we could switch channels if we ever decided that we wanted to, for whatever reason, switch to a different channel, which is a great idea. Except I really don't want to build another one of these ends, and I don't want to add a bunch of solder. I'm wondering if it would be just more relevant to just, I'm wondering if we should just solder the dang thing. Let's just solder the dang thing. Guys, you're not going to catch me lazing out too often on stuff like this, but I'm doing it now. Because it's just, I want to save the weight. I'll keep the other pin. Now, what the heck am I keeping the pins for, guys? Let's just be honest. I'm not going to use the pins. These ones I need for the bind plug. Otherwise, negatory. They're going. So, super easy. Wish I would have done it earlier. Probably would have saved a lot of effort. But, you know me. Waffling is my style. I am holding this. I'm going to have to be more careful this time because I got a bunch of crap now in the way. Just trying to think the best way to do this. I want it to fall off. Yes, just like this. Just like I said, I got crap in the way now. Got to clean the tip. Got to get a little bit of solder on there. Very good. There's one signal pin. Good. There's two. Okay, so just looking to see if there's a bunch of excessive amounts of solder on there, which there really isn't. Not this time. Just checking. Yeah, I think we're okay there. So now we just need to solder in that signal wire. Now in this case, you probably could tin this one wire because you've only got one to get into the hole, so it should be a little bit easier. But just knowing the luck I've had so far on this project for this part, I'm probably just going to be on the safe side and not. How about one drip? One drip, guys. Just to kind of keep it from being all whamsy-pamsy as you try to push it in the hole. Alright guys, here goes nothing. This is so awkward. I have holding hands too, but they suck, so I'm not going to use them. Or helping hands, sorry, not holding hands. They're called helping hands, those little alligator clip things that hold onto your workpiece. I've never really found them to be that helpful, but it's probably because mine suck. I need to make sure I don't lose those header pins. I like those things. Okay, got it that time. Hey, and I don't know if you guys are aware of this from my communication, but it does take quite a bit longer to do this on video. If you're doing this yourself, it's not going to be near as painful. Just a lot harder to film. So when you do it yourself, you could probably get it done in half the time, if that. Plus, you don't have to waffle because you already know all the pitfalls I run into, since I'll share those with you. Okay, so we've got the signal line attached, we got the power line attached, and we got the ground line attached, which is actually going to take care of another portion of our requirements here in a little bit, specifically pertaining to tapping power inside the Aero Commander. So what I need to do is I need to make a final decision on placement here, given this is all wired up now, and thought I had already made that decision earlier. So if I stick this down like that, then I basically have two wires that need to be either terminated into a connector or just ran across these things. Then exact placement could still be on the table, but I just got to make sure that I'm not going to disqualify myself somehow by, you know, putting these in a certain position. Now, the other thing I was thinking about is if I did need to, God forbid, work on this again later, then if I had it up toward the front, it would probably be nice in terms of being able to get at the servo easy without having to open everything up necessarily. But my guess is it's probably going to be an open it up type of project, no matter what I do, if that situation would arise. And let's just be practical here. It looks like really what I'm going to end up doing here is I'm just going to end up sticking that right there. And that's all I'm going to do right now, because I'm sick of talking about it. I think I'm done soldering for a little bit. That's pretty cool. That's a good feeling. Well, I'm done soldering until I tap power. So really I just said that like 30 seconds ago, but I have already thought of something I need to solder. That's pretty bad. Typical for me, though. I cleaned this earlier, but I've been working on it and desoldering and stuff, so I'm going to clean it again. It's always a good idea to get this stuff off of here. That flux, and I've been told that there might be some acids and things in there, so you got to be careful to clean that off. Now, I don't want to totally eliminate the markings here. The red and black are correct. But I do want to eliminate the buildup of black stuff, which might cause a problem over time. I can always remark this here in a second with a marker. Okay, so now we'll go back with, probably with a clean, dry Q-tip. I wish I had a Q-tip fairy that would bring me Q-tips when I needed them. Like 20. Alright guys, I'm doing it. Keeping in mind that we're not really losing any headspace at all with this, and I'll explain in a second. Okay, so we're not losing any headspace, and here's why. When we stick this thing down, okay, which it is essentially down. Which, note to self, Horizon, why not sell little addressable servos that are in a package like this? And then you have a dip switch, and you pick which channel you want it to be. Holy crap buckets, that would be awesome. And you would make millions of cents per unit. Well, maybe not millions of cents. You might make hundreds of cents worth of profit. That'd be pretty sweet, though. Just bind it to your radio and then run power. You've got a 2-wire configuration that you have to chase through the plane. You could add ailerons. You could add flaps. It doesn't matter. You just got to run 2 wires out. Or better yet, run them on a separate battery. Pretty cool idea, Grant. I like that idea. Why do I keep giving these good ideas to Horizon? They're not going to do anything with it. They're just going to sit there on their thumbs. Remember how I said I was going to remark that? That's what I'm doing real quick. Alright, cool. So now, now that I have this assembly done, at this point, I'm looking at basically the next step is going to be going ahead and, well, I've got alcohol in here. Do I still have alcohol in here? I should wipe off that little Aero. Nope, not enough alcohol. That was my drying one. Okay, so if I put it here, that'd be pretty sweet if it would work. If I put it here, that would also be fine. I would just need to manipulate these into a bundle, which is not a big deal at all. Just kind of force those down. In case you were wondering, when you crash a plane that you've got this much effort in, it's kind of heartbreaking. I don't know how these guys do it when they crash these jets and stuff that cost like 20 grand. I mean, that's like just nuts. Just find the nearest bridge, right? Okay, so let's do it this way. Let's see if that'll work. That might actually be more appropriate. I think that's the way it's going to go. It's going to go right there. Unless something major changes, that's where it's going. And it's going to be slightly off-center. No, it's going to be pretty much right there. Ah, I can't do that, guys. Because when that gets flipped over, then I'm going to be working with this stupid rudder linkage. One thing after another. So really, it's kind of got to go the other side. But then look at all this bundle of mess of wires, guys. I wonder if I could just bring that mess over. Doesn't look like it because the leads appear to be... Well, it's probably just the way that it's flipped. So if we have to go this way with it, then that makes it... Oh, let's weigh it real quick, by the way. So that whole configuration is now 10.1 grams, down from 15.8. So we're now down to 10.10 grams. I forget what that was at the end. That's a huge savings. And that's with the double-sided tape and everything too. Oh, and we're going to shorten this wire up. So, but remember, 10.1 grams can really change the CG a lot and make this plane fly poorly or excellently, depending on what we do with it. Maybe I just need to keep these wires controlled and put them in a... I hate to use a zip tie because they're so dang heavy, but I could probably use a twisty tie. Twisty tie might be the way to go. Let's try that. Guys, we're about ready to run out of memory here. And so if that would happen inadvertently, out of the blue, meaning I'd forget, this is going to conclude... What is this, part 4? Part 4 of the flaps installation. I feel like we're making about average to slightly better than average progress. But I'm getting better at this. It's just that better doesn't mean faster. Better means the output, the quality of the finished job is better. But it certainly doesn't take less time for me. I'm probably slower than I've ever been. Awesome. Okay, so that worked. That seems like it's going to hold those wires neatly together. Now maybe I just need to do a little piece of tape there. Guys, we're going to run out of time. I'm just going to call it. At this point, I'm calling it. Really appreciate you guys watching. Glad you're sticking in there. Hope you come back for more on the Aero Commander Flap Mod Part 5.